So we are back. I hope it's okay. If you can hear me, give me a one comment so that we could start. Yeah, I'm checking from my other phone. Just a moment. I should be having data. So I don't know if it's okay. Okay, hey Brooklyn, big small. How are you? How are you from? New York, California, Atlanta. Yes, I think we could try and connect ourselves. Testing 1, 2, 3. Anonymous. How are you? How are you? Yes. Today has been. I want us to do actually. We go into this topic. Yes, very sensitive topic, and just want to put a disclaimer that this has nothing to do with Black Americans. This has nothing to do with Black Americans. We will discuss this with pure justice. We will go into it, and I believe there are people who are purported to be from the Western countries who are actually passport brothers, and actually, in essence, they are not actually passport brothers, but they are actually sex parts. So, with the with the inclusion of passport, it's a very huge business actually. When you talk about passport brothers, when you talk about travel, when you talk about people moving to another country, to visit, tourism, medical, what else people normally just to explore. There's some people who just go for adventure. It's a very big business, and it has actually been a very big business for Kenya for a very long time. Kenya has been that place where people have been going to years, many years ago. We all know about transatlantic trade, which was between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. But little is spoken about the Eastern trade, business trade. So with the Eastern business trade was the India, China, and Africa, and Africa in that essence that meant from the all the way from Botswana all the way to Egypt. All those countries were transacting with with China and India. So with India, it will go. It we will include China. I don't know, with China, with India we include Nepal, Pakistan, all those Asian countries around India. So they were trading from that place, and most things of that we actually got from India were spices. That's why when you come to East Africa, yeah, there's an argument that it could be the spices came from Africa and went to India, and also there's an argument that people are arguing that the spices came from India and came to Africa. That's why when you move around those two countries, or those two continents, or the larger part of East Africa, you find people cooking something similar to Indian food. So there's that similarity. And with the Chinese, with the Chinese, we had the political bowls, the plates, the paper, the pens, um, uh, and the clothes mostly. So it's been a very big business for a very long time, very long time. It's been a very big business. So lately we've been having passport visitors from many places that we never thought that we'll have visitors. One has been China for a very long time. Let's give it a number. For about I will talk about for about 30 years. Yes, let's put some perspective out of it. About 30 years, we've been having passport visitors from China, and before that it was European and Americas, and before that it was the majorly it was the British. So and then before that it was the Portuguese, and yeah, it was the Portuguese and the Spaniards, and then before that was the Arabs. Okay, the Omanis, the Omanis were very big in East Africa. Actually, in the eastern part of the of the African countries, majorly Tanzania and Kenya. So from all the from Somalia, a little bit, let's say behind, just after Kismayo, all the way to the shores of Mozambique. That was, uh, I would say, that was like the an extended part of the Omani kingdom. So the Omani actually had control over that particular place I've mentioned, from the Kisimai to the early to the let's say to the first of an eighth of one quarter, a quarter of the border of Mozambique. It was actually run and managed and controlled. The military army was actually Omanis, but it was not going that extensively into the hinterland. The hinterland was left for the, and not necessarily meaning that that place never had the locals. The locals who are there, the locals were still until today still there. Some of them have intermarried with they have the Imani blood, they have the Arabic blood, the Portuguese blood, and there are some who are actually very pure. They still have the intact of who they were before. So, as I said, with the passport, brother, or the passport visitors, let's call them visitors today, because I got a little bit, I realized people are a bit sensitive, and I had people went and posted me on Twitter. I don't know, passport something. I'm the one who planned everything. I'm like, but with all that information, people never discuss, or people don't tell. It comes with a lot of problems. It comes with a lot of disrespectiveness to the locals, to the culture, to the norms of those people, and it actually causes a lot of problems. So, in many ways of people being disrespected, also brings the aspect of being exploitive. People get exploited in that aspect. People get exploited in that aspect, and also just the visitors, the passport visitors, they just become a bad guest. I don't know. I don't know, it's because of the too much freedom. Because for instance, when we had the British coming into the East African Protectorate area, that would be Tanzania, Uganda, Sorry about that. Yes, bad signal. Sorry about that. I just lost my internet. I don't know what happened, but I hope we are back. So anonymous and the rest. I'm sorry about that. So I was speaking about. I just talked about being bad guests. Basically, just people just become bad guests, and it's because of the freedom. Like in the income, the incumbent of the British into the territory of Kenya and the larger East Africa. You know, the systems of owning property in England or United Kingdom was a little bit different from what we had in Africa. And now the government had stepped in. The land was now taken in, and it was property of the Queen. So people were given freedom. They could actually own a lot of piece of land, and kind of like people started getting more freedom. They discovered that they had more freedom. They had better ways of living. Their livelihood had changed. Their living standard had changed, and there was a gold rush at that time. I think it should be 1930 to 1940. Or I beg to differ. Because it was after the rail had been built. It was after the rail that had been built from Mombasa to Kisumu. That is from one end of the Kenya, where we have the port, and to the last end of Kenya, which is Kisumu, now known as, it was called Namlolwe. So the Namlolwe is the biggest lake in Africa, or the second lake in the world. So at the end of that particular place where the rail ended, it was the famous Kisumu town, which Kisumu means a place of trade. Kisumu. So uh, after the completion of that rail, there was a lot of gold rush into Kenya, and that end of that end of the so yes, and I get it. So it was in 1910 when we had the gold rush. uh Not actually, there's two different gold rush. There's gold rush for the actual gold, which was just a little bit slight higher, some few kilometers away from the end. So it was the other part of the side of the lake where we had gold being mined. And that's where the British bank Standard Chartered opened their first branch. Yes. And it was all for collecting those deposits and banking them. So there was that gold rush, and then now, since the bank had become stable, so in the 1920, so it's two different gold rush that happened in Kenya. Though, or let's say three. The first one was Kenya being a new place to invest, place to go and colonize. So that was the first gold rush. And then the second, coincidentally, I don't know what happened. They just discovered gold in Kakamega. Kakamega is about 100 kilometers, or no, it's about 50 to 70 kilometers from Kisumu town. So the rail had to be built from Mombasa to Kisumu. So there was a gold rush, and that gold rush made the first. I, I think that was the second branch. First branch was at the beginning of the railway station, and that time, Mombasa was my city, was the capital city of Kenya. So, and then later they moved to the famous now Nairobi, and Nairobi actually is a place where we have the indigenous people of the Maasai. So it was the Maasai's and Dorobo and Kikuyu who are living in that particular area. So before moving from Mombasa to Nairobi, Nairobi at that time was a very cool climate, and it was very swampy. Actually, people who are living in Nairobi are actually living, quote unquote, a swamp. So that's why the name Nairobi in Maasai, Enkare Nairobi, Enkare Nairobi means cool waters. So I'll retrace back to the history. So when the gold rush happened in Kakamega, and a stable bank branch was established in Kakamega in the 1900s, or 1900s, precisely. I think 1905, because the train was started in 1901, it ended in 1909. So by the time the train was already established, there was a very big movement into the hinterland of Kenya. And that was the second gold rush. And then the third gold rush happened when now people are coming into the country and investing in farmyards, and people are moved from the highlands, one of the fertile lands in one of the fertile lands in Kenya, and there was the eastern highlands and there's the western highlands, and people were kicked out and they were actually put in concentration camps because these are people who sort of like they felt like their land could not be taken. So the government had a resistance, and it's a very big history that I cannot break it now, but because we are discussing about something else, but I'll just break it down. People decided to fight back. People tried to assimilate themselves. That's why people complain that we are looking more of white people or we value white people. That's not the truth. The truth at that time, people were fighting for an identity. They were fighting to become like them so that they could be them, so that them cannot fight them, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. So there's nothing like black people wanted to be like, or respect, want to be like white people. No, it was just a culture deficit that had really need to be fixed because the things were happening so fast in that time in Kenya, and the territory had already been recognized as part of Britain, and that was not going to. I don't know how people at that time managed to get the country back, but I'll tell you what happened in Kenya was actually very painful. So, back to the passport brothers, back to the passport visitors. As I said, that actually generated bad guests because of the things that they ought to have benefit from that visit. So, uh, maybe you just have you'll say what maybe you have a hard question and you want to ask me, and I would just want to also just point out that also there were two generic groups that are visiting Africa at the moment. As of today, there are two generic visitors who are visiting today, and this these ones who are visiting Africa today, if you look at them, where are they visiting? They are visiting Ghana. They are visiting mostly, let's say collectively, they're visiting West Africa, and some are visiting Eastern Africa, some are visiting West Africa, South Africa, and little bit of few people are visiting the northern part. And in the northern part, people are going for tradition, history, the pyramids. But where we are finding a lot of people want to stay in Western Africa, East and South. In the northern part, it's a little bit different. And what I notice also, when people are visiting Ghana, there's a big difference when they visit Ghana and when they visit Kenya. And this is a question that I also you want to ask yourself. Why is it so? Why am I asking this myself? Because when I see people visiting Ghana, and I see mostly majorly now, let's tone down a little bit. Let's move a little bit ahead and discuss about the Black Americans when they visit Ghana. You will observe something that is similar, or majorly their agenda, or majorly the feeling of what happened. People are visiting to pay homage, to invest, to retire back, but it's a little bit different when you see Kenya. I'm not saying those things do not happen in Kenya, but there's an increase of people wanting to visit Eastern Africa more so, for better word to say, being a sexpert. And being a sexpert of today is not something that started today. It has been there for some time. And Black Americans might be thinking maybe they're the first one to start it, but they're not the first one to start it. Sex tourism has been big in Eastern Africa, and more so my country, and more so the city that I come from, Mombasa. Sex tourism has been big business. Do you know, at that there was a time when I was still in school, and you will see somebody of my age in school, let's take about 12 to 15 years, uh, grooving with about 70 to 50 to 70 to 70 years, yes, 50 to 70 years, old person. It could be a man or it could either be a girl, uh, or it could be, yeah, it could be the two genders, and that was a big problem. And I remember when we were in school, they used to come and warn us not to partake those practices. And it was we actually won that war. We won that war. I'm not saying it's not completely out, but I would say that war has been a little bit defeated. It was rampant at that time. Yes, it was rampant at that time. So when I hear Black Americans thinking that they're saying, "Oh, the rest did it," yes, they did it, but you have to remember they did, and we fought it back. Like it was not easy. It was like, yeah, you will do it, but we actually fought it. We fought it back, and it has been our journey to preserve that culture, or to preserve the dignity of the people for a very long time. And when I hear or I see people talking about, oh, the white man is doing it, some other people from other places have been doing it, it really hardens me and wonder, you guys do not identify that there's been a struggle for this. What you are seeing is just the last part of it. Like whatever you are seeing now is the last part of it. It was way, way bad. And the worst part is that we are actually seeing this on the internet. But remember, at that particular time, we did not have the internet. It was rampant. When I was going to school in my early days in Mombasa, you will go in the street and you feel like you don't want to go. I will now understand what Americans feel. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You will go to a street and you see foreigners in one particular street. And what happened during those days? It was people. It was a big business. People are coming to visit Masai Mara and visit buy cowrie shells. Cowrie shells was a very big business. There were carvings. All the artifacts that were there. And I remember also that time we had ivory, rhinoceros, you know, horns being harvested from animals, pouches, and it was big business. So it was mixed up with the sex tourism thing. So the government took a deliberate action and fought them about that. And today, it seems that we have gone back to those days. We are not gone to the worst days of that day, but we are actually creeping in slowly. It starts with people coming for sex tourism, and it has become rampant right at the moment in Kenya. And more so, I would say it has moved from Mombasa now to Nairobi. Nairobi has become the hotspot of these practices. So before we discuss about it, oh yes, I felt that in Brooklyn you could be from New York. So I'll just read your comments. So Brooklyn said, "Thank you for saying that. No passport, brother. Not passport brothers. I love Africa, but I love black men going to Africa. Is beautiful. People is beautiful. People is beautiful over there. They had problems, so I respect people's culture in their land. Yes." Outer, thank you for coming in. Outer Anonymous, thank you for coming in. Now to said, I think South Africa is bigger tourism destination from New York right now. Oh, I didn't know, but that could be actually true and also not true. I don't know. I want to say it's not true, but I'll say one thing. Uh, People have been visiting Africa for a very long time, and for somebody to come and think that they are the first one to start visiting or to start to make it like they are the ones who are doing it better. There are people who have been doing it better. Even the Black Americans who are coming at the moment, they're saying they were getting stories from the brothers from the army, and they're telling them the spots. That's how they discovered Thailand. That's how they discovered Brazil, Medellin, Colombia, and one of the cities that now destroyed it. And what did they destroy it? Sex tourism. But one thing you have to know, or you have to understand, is that sex tourism started because of a problem. And that problem starts right inside the territory of America. The problem has to start from the territory of America. And also, as it starts in the territory of America, it also has a problem of a need from our side inside the Africa continent. Uh, as much as we want to say we stopped sex tourism and say the passport brothers are the problem or the visitors have become the problem, but I also think we also have our own shares as people who are receiving that, basically talk about that effect. So, uh, as I said, that the problem started inside America, and I think this is the first reason that is contributing to this: escaping social and cultural accountability. In this modern world, uh, feminism has become very big, and it has created a very high standard, and it's becoming a main issue in the dating scene. And also for those who have gotten married, they're also finding it difficult to maintain that marriage, you know. And many who have aspired, for many who have aspired to be in that position, where they will want to have somebody that they relate to, they want to stay with their lives, they want to live with them together. That social uh, effect has been broken down, and also the women have just decided they will not partake into the cultural way of living. Like the way that they were living, the modern way, it has been picked, and they've forgotten about everything that it was before. And this has caused a lot of resentment among the passport bros or the passport visitors, because of what they're feeling from where they're coming from, because of feminism and this modern woman becoming so difficult and entitled, with too much entitlement, and otherwise they just outrightly be seen as masculine. They're just being seen as too masculine, and men cannot cope up with that. That's become actually a very big problem. But remember, this is something that is happening inside the territory of America. And one of the most dynamic of these changes, or rather to say, passport bros are seeking, is rejecting the evolving gender roles. Also, this comes in with a lot of gender roles being changed. They're always the gender roles are always changing, whereby I find people just feeling off. You know, they just feel like they need a total whole change of this norm. So why do they decide? They decide to take a flight, go to Thailand, go to Africa, go to Beijing, Brazil. Uh, what's the other country? Those all those sports that they've been going to, and you might think it's only a Black American, because now Black Americans have taken hold of that name, Passport Brothers. They have owned it like it's theirs. But I will just say, Passport Brothers doesn't have to be seen as color. If you come and you jaywalk the way you're jaywalking, I will refer you as that. So I believe the Passport Brothers could be from any gender. And I know that some people will have issues. The famous Carlos, my friend here in YouTube, we've never met, but he is always having a problem and saying this is a word that is for Black Americans. But I don't think that's the problem. That's a bit. If you put the word on the, actually finding the meaning, they'll tell you it's just somebody who's from the Western world, moving from their own country to find love, or move away to find better ways of living, or better norms of living, yes, or standards, or living standards. So there's also about economic responsibilities, just avoiding that economic responsibility. you know the Western world has become very expensive. The Western world has become, there's always increasing. And I don't know if it's because somebody moved out of the country and realized there are people, like, for example, Africa. Most of the things are bought by cash. If you buy a car, it's cash. If you want to buy a house, it's cash. But even anything, even telephone, but a mobile phone. But if you go to the Western world, you find that you're buying everything on a credit. Everything's on credit. Everything on credit. And I think that a little bit adds a little bit of stress into the way people live in those particular environments. And people get tired of it. After some time, you get a burnout. And when somebody just whisper that you could better do Africa and take a little bit break, people will decide to leave. So one of the things that America has been known forever is keeping the rising of the bills, paying of the bills, the mortgages, you are always constantly paying. and this is day in day out. And most of them have decided to move and travel to find a financial power, because the dollar extends further in other countries. So, and it gives them the power of that currency to enjoy better living standards, to enjoy better food. You know, also people are moving out of the country because of food quality. The food has become so highly processed, so people just want to eat natural foods. But also people are also feeling from legal and marital status, protection, like paying for child support. Today, as a young person in America, you just finish maybe your high school, or you finish your campus, you're not yet married, you're not dating. The moment you start thinking about dating, and then you hear about stories about, be careful, brother, be careful, because if you get the wrong one, you may end up in a lawsuit, and you'll have little limited times to access to your kids, and you'll be paying child support. So that has gotten to awakening of some people, that they need to really refocus the energy in whom they are dating. So they prefer to date outside America. And in that essence, dating out of America doesn't mean that the person has to be them in America. So what they do, most of them at the moment, the passport brothers, they do, is that they decide to basically have a family outside America and keep that family out of the American space, because they believe the environment in America is a little bit toxic. They believe if they happen to bring their family in America, that marriage will actually break. And actually, one of the Kenyan American marriage went into that direction. I do not know what happened. Do I support it? No, I do not support it, because I think the gentleman looked fairly reasonable. And also, it might seems to be unjust to the gentleman, but we do not know what happened. So the laws in the Western world are very punitive, actually, towards the rights of men, and tend to be more punishing to the men more than it does it to a woman. So it cuts to cut this old cut and race, about fighting with the judicial system, and also preferring to date outside America. They just decide to date out of America, and they have family staying outside with their partners, and this gave them less scrutiny, about who they marry, or what the government has to decide on their marriage. And some, like for example, uh, one of the things that people may want to seek in Kenya, I know, is because we have a law that protects child care, and it protects you as a man, because if you marry and you have property, so if or you marry today, and maybe even after some course of time, you get property from your family, so it's inheritance. So your wife does not have legal rights to those properties, so those properties actually will be yours. It will only be attached to you. Your property, what you worked for, will be attached to you, because the woman will be asked to prove how these properties are there. So this tends to create a very strong uh, move with people into marrying Kenyans, because that sense of protection is there. So another comment I'm thinking of is evading the personal growth and self improvement. You know, when I see young boys from America, young as 25, young as 22, young as 32, 36, living in Africa, and I'm like, most African people are actually wanting to move to America. Not that life is really bad in Africa that they want to move, but they want to move so that they could actually have that extent of the dollar, into their finances, so that they could do better for themselves in the future. So when I see Americans leaving America at that young age, when they could be actually working and building themselves financially, I find to be a little bit misleading, because Africa will be more suitable for those who are actually moving in for retirement. I'm not saying basically you should stay in America until you retire. You could actually move into Africa and start your small development. Maybe if you, for example, you move to Ghana, and decide to build a home slowly, or purchase the land, build a house, becoming once maybe 2 months in a year as a break. Instead of having your break somewhere else, you just come to your house and you have your break and you get to assimilate yourself with the culture. So by the time you will be retiring, people will have known you, you'll have friends in Africa. That for me looks like a good plan. But you know, when I see it has become one of the most common, it's what excuses. It's excuses that has become so much common. Oh, there's gang violences, there's police brutality, there's yes, that could be a very valid thing to make you to move. But if you're moving to a country where you could not make more than what you are making, or you could not make even similar to what you're making, or even half of what you're making, I don't think it is necessarily a right to do it. So one thing I noticed also with the passport is they're working on their social, instead of working on the social skills, emotional intelligence, attractiveness. This is to say that they're running away from away from a market where they are made desirable, and the default by default they are American. They make money when they are staying in America than moving into Africa. So I would just prefer somebody to move into Africa if they have the finances, or basically if they have a remote job and they're making much as they will have made in Africa, in America. So it will make sense to move to Africa. But for that, I don't really don't support it. But and that's where I find whereby when I see young gentlemen, because the sex drive is a little bit higher, I tend to believe that they're into other something, that there's something else that is attracting them to move into Africa, and which will be actually sex tourism. So for me, that's what I've come to. My research has come to lead me to that, and but also as you are running away from that and picking up somebody from Africa, I would just advise, be careful. You might be running into a green card scam. Somebody might want to scam you out of the green card, but now the black Americans they're like, no, we are no longer moving, and it's not even the black Americans, even the people who are actually from Europe, the white Americans also too. Some of them have not been moving to Africa for those purposes. They've been moving for their own personal gain, and that is what has been happening. So uh so what gives them leverage mostly for the women is because when they pick up a woman from Africa, or they pick up a woman from Thailand or Brazil, them staying there gives them more leverage than moving them into America, because they'll get uh, it's like you're trying to run away from a problem and then you invite somebody else to get sucked into that problem. So in cruciality, I would say, to understand the Prosper brothers, there's a strong reflect of framing that they are running away. But this frame of their actions is that a rational, proactive search for a better life. From their perspective, they are taking responsibility for their own happiness, embracing their own, embracing they provide the role, opting and opting out of the system that they disagree with. So people are actually move out of the country because they actually disagree with these norms of what the government is offering or the society is offering in that particular place they are living, and also just running away from their their places so that they could find happiness where they could be respected. But one thing, as we talk about it, as I've just mentioned, are the things which are moving them out of the country. People have discovered that when they move out of the country, they find women who are polite, and maybe the politeness because it's because they do not have enough, and now that's where the exploitation happens. You know, the exploitation happens there, just right there, because now they've discovered that they could actually they have more money and they could do more with the money. And now they start tending to become exploitative. And also another thing they've realized, since that there was sex traffic in those countries that they were in, now as they move into these countries, they find that sex is becoming more available. And this has to now to do with the host country. In our country at the moment, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of joblessness. People do not have jobs. So if you enter into such an economy with your dollars and you find people vulnerable and you start taking advantage of them because they are vulnerable, they do not have the hope, they do not have the job, and there's a lot of corruption in the country. So as you move into that, you actually just continue the vice that the country is actually fighting, which is sex tourism, which is also being exploitative to other people of that particular area that you have been hosted in. And that has been actually something that has been happening for a very long time. And now in this current day, as we are talking, Kenya has become now a very hot place for sex tourism. People are moving into the country. I don't know, because of the rapid houses that Chinese have been building for sale. People are buying properties in Kenya. People are actually finding more accommodations, so the country could host maybe and every day could host maybe 2 to 5 million guests in a year, in a particular day in Kenya now, because of the we have a lot of homes. There's a lot of Airbnb business running now in Kenya, so people are moving to these particular places and they're actually exploring more of what they could have they ought to have explored. And now, to a country such as a Kenya, the government can't say anything because this money coming into the country is becoming as a foreign exchange earner. But the foreign exchange earner has a detriment effects to the economy, to the morality, and not to the economy, to the morality of the society. The society is becoming decaying. Tourism was actually very big in areas of Southern Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Egypt. But one thing that we've discovered, even when the AIDS prevalences disease that took place in Kenya, those years when it was that high, it was high in South Africa, it was high in Botswana, it was high in areas where there were tourism. And it's because, you know, the morality of Africa had already been broken down in those particular countries, whereby it was sex for money. So anybody will have sex for money, and maybe this is somebody with a partner, and the same partner goes and get the disease, and the disease move from the partner, the male partner, maybe to their own concubines. So it becomes a whole problem, and this is where we decided to see this problem and say we have to step in and say no to sex tourism. Nana Kwaku has invited us Africans to actually fight sex tourism. We are not saying we are fighting people visiting Africa. People should visit Africa if it's something that you really desire to. If it's something that could really make you heal your wounds, yes, you should go ahead and do it, but not to the detriment of having the society fail. That is what we are against. We do not want a society where it will fail because of the vices that are actually happening within the country. So, oh yes, prayer one, you said in those countries they go to the red district. Now that's the sad part, and that's where I disagree with Austin and Kid Greatness. Austin and Kid Greatness, during the day they're actually sleeping, and during the night they want to go and party, and it's every day they are partying. And it's new women every day. So it's like you're going to shop list. You're just going to the shop, pick every new oranges every day. Sorry. So every day you're going to pick new oranges. Every day you're going to pick oranges. That is where I have a problem with it. And when you told them, they have a problem with it. So Aren't there majority of them actually Africans coming from other countries? Yes, anonymous. We have in Kenya, we have the biggest country I think that visit Kenya should be, it should either be, I'll have said Nigeria, but it could be either Uganda and Tanzania, and followed by Rwanda, maybe. Of late, there's been a lot of influx from Burundi. And take me right, this is not passport drawing. Like, this is not visiting for sex. This is not visit. These are people who are visiting because of better living standards. Oh, and another country could be inside the among the top list will be Congo and also Nigeria. But I don't have the. Those are the countries that I will say visit Kenya and Somalia and Eritrea. Oh, Ethiopia too. Basically, most of the Eastern countries, South Sudan also. Which other country? We have a lot of South Sudanese in Kenya. We have a lot of Zimbabweans. Those ones became citizens. We had a number of Zimbabweans who are living in Kenya. They became citizens. Which other group? The South Africans will be on the minute. The Zimbabwe will be on the few, but the major ones are the ones I've mentioned. The ones that I've mentioned, those are the major ones. So we have other African countries that are visiting Kenya too, and they're in big numbers. They're in big numbers. How to say South Africa in Africa, and I believe it's Jamaica in the Caribbean. I didn't get it, but yes, you say anonymous. They say the term coined by BMT, he owns the trademark for the name. Oh, I didn't know. So he took the name, but actually, I don't think it could have been them who coined the word. But maybe if they took the a trademark for it, yes, that I would say it's for them. But I think the word has been there for some time. The people who show and advertise the exploit on videos streams mostly is passport bros. Every time I go on YouTube, the type of passport bros you see them with women are from DR, that's Dominican Republic, Brazil, Colombia, and now Kenya. And sooner or later it will be South Africa. And one thing that I noticed, not that Black Americans have not been coming to Kenya, not that we've been having a very big number. And actually we have a very big number. And I believe there's also a very big number who are experts, but they're not seeing on camera. You don't see them on camera. They just do the things behind the scene. And they just do their thing behind the scene. So this is actually a problem. You see them actually every day showcasing women. There's something important, and this is now a problem for us Kenyans. Let's say not Africans, us Kenyans. It's a problem because for a very long time, people who have been coming to visit Kenya are actually visiting Kenya not for sex tourism only, but we have been having people who are visiting Kenya for wildlife, culture, coming to see the Maasai, how they live. People still living there in their original way. They still practice their original way of living. Their whole culture was years and years ago. So, not to say that there were no passport bros at that time or sex parts we had, but in the recent Black American visit, we're having a problem. The only I'm not saying they should be friends with men, but it is always about women. It's always about women. There's nothing. There are discussions. Everything is all about women. Until of recent, when they realize that Kenyans do not appreciate what they do, they decided to diversify their content. Oh, I don't know what could have made that move, but they decided to change. But before, the intention was a little bit different. So, we go to another comment. I'll say, showing the naked women. Yes, 100%. I've seen that, and it's a little bit sad. You find nasty women in every country. 100% out of every country has its own share of whatever you have in your own country. So where this notion that we are saying that Kenya is that gold place where you can get the humble and the description that they gave about the women, it's a total lie. We I'm not saying we are proud of having all those bad people or those characters that we prefer to be known as bad into the country, but every country has its own share of bad and good people. This starts at home with bad training. Yes, in every home you have. If people have been brought up badly, you will have those kind of behaviors. Uh, One, you say this you see these women with g-strings dancing in the beaches and bringing them, bragging them on these women. Joe Howard, thank you for coming. This is your first time seeing you. Thank you for understanding the passport bro phenomenon. Yes, I do understand the passport bro phenomenon. There are passport bros who are actually genuinely good people, people who want to go and get better for their lives. But we have others. And actually, now the thing is that in this world, you have to agree, in this world, the negative wins day in, all day, day out. So it could be we have 100 passport brothers who are very good, 100, a big number, but at 10%, like 10 people out of the 100 are just bad, but they will spoil for the rest. For a very long time, even something that was happening behind the skin, people did not know about it. It was okay until when JRL stepped in. The whole passport bro movement is dead in Kenya. That's why you see Austin and Kid Greatness. They have disappeared. They've gone away because they had associated themselves with passport bro, and with the passport bro movement, it seems to be like it's now an attack in Kenya, and that's why you see them running away, like confused, like they do not know what to do. Look like Austin, poor him. He had invested, I don't know, $5,000 into the apartment. Now he's wondering what's happening. Should I be selling my stuff? Will I be going and not telling people that I'm in Kenya? That confusion. It is not actually worth it, but it's always been brought by somebody who is actually coming with interior motives, and that they have to blame it on themselves because Kid Greatness was the one who invited them. There's a video for there's a video showing him inviting JRL. So in retrospective, as a Kenyan, I would just say that is your own brother that you invited, and he has shown us who he is. So that means that is who you are. So that's why even him is guilty and he decided to leave. So what's the difference between somebody in Kenya who does it from a black American? How to say it? What is the difference if somebody from Kenya does it from black America? Do you mean like a Kenyan who is becoming a passport bro, moving out of Kenya to become a passport bro? Yes, we have, and I've mentioned it many times. We have a passport bro, a very good passport bro with almost 500 subscribers. He's been famous, and most of these passport bros who are even coming to Kenya, they know him. Hey, good morning, Kung Fu Fanta. It's morning in there. Optimistic was here. Oh, I did see. Okay. Hey, hello, nice, Mr. Nice. Yes. If you are to visit Kenya, I will explore the cities like places like Jomo Kenyatta University, speak Swahili, and enjoy myself. Oh, Joe Howard, there are many things you could do in Kenya, and it's. I'm not saying you should. If you go to Kenya and find somebody well and good, that's not being sex tourism. That is somebody you found and you decided to stay with. There's nothing wrong about that. And there are many things you could go and do. But where we have a problem is showcasing and demeaning the women, show them attacking them as a product. Because what Austin and Kid Greatness they do, it's like woman is a product. This is what I mean. you do not see the value of somebody as a woman, that this is somebody that could be my partner, or if I'm not interested in this person, could be somebody's partner, and I should have a respect towards that person. You know, imagine today all the women Kid Greatness has recorded and Austin have recorded. Tomorrow they decide to enter in a relationship. It would be hard for that relationship to continue. And maybe with Americans it could, because of deterioration of culture. But in my culture, in the Kenyan society, imagine you are dating somebody, or you've married somebody, and your family tells you, but your wife is here on the internet. I hope that makes sense. That's the biggest fear we're having. We don't have to in future. We have families breaking down because of such things. Yeah. So there are many things we could do in Kenya. Howard. There are many things that we could do in Kenya, and it's not about okay. Sorry. Yeah, we are back. So as I said, um, there are many things you could do when you visit Kenya. There are many things you could do. You could invest. You could do business. You could create your own, generation wealth. You know that is possible in Africa, not in other countries. Africa has a very good place of growing your generational wealth, like a place where your families in generation could could be part of some an environment, an ecosystem, and they actually develop that place, and you could leave that property to them. And basically, in most cases, whereby if you become a citizen like me, you do not have to pay yearly taxes for some particular land which are actually on, they are regarded as your own property, uh, for your own generation. So there are many advantages you could have by visiting Kenya or living in Kenya. How to say, but Kele, if a man from Kenya visit America or the Caribbean, are they going to be women or for into get the things you could see his old videos what he okay, let me try and to the camera. I hope it will be better. So of yeah, let's try and this we'll see. So we had a lot of him moving out of the country, visiting. Would get yourself involved with people, and a baby could occur. There are effects of it too. You could be involved with a woman, and then the woman ends up being pregnant, and you'll be in for child support. You'll be having your own mind divided. Maybe you did not intend to visit this country every day, or you did not intend to stay in this country. So you kind of get involved in that country, and it becomes a problem. So for me, I can say there are many things that have been happening also for Kenyans who are leaving the country, but not actually all of them, but a fraction of it. And we've been calling them out. So when we call them out, I do not know why our brothers from America, when we tell them that this is not right or this is not the way to do it, why do you get defensive? I have I have many American friends now, and the moment I bring the issue of passport, but they always want me to differentiate between passport bro and somebody is visiting for sex. So I'm like, sometimes you might think there's a difference, but for us, we don't see any difference. And the thing is that people are actually boxing us to believe in what they believe in. But you see, they say also the beauty belongs to the eye of the beholder. So it's the same thing. We will only believe what we see or what we know. You know, we will perceive to look at the way things are on ground. So anybody who's visiting in Kenya as a sexpert, or somebody who's visiting for women, they'll call your passport One, two. Am I back? I don't know why today it's breaking. It's never been breaking like this. Oh, so okay. So it's back. So Auto says it's not legal to marry 100 wives. Optimistic. So, but brother from Africa visit America and ends up marrying 100 wives. Does anybody really care? I don't think it's easy to marry even 100. Even just after two, it becomes a problem. It, socially, uh, economically, it just becomes a problem. So I don't think that's actually possible. So, so okay. And the comment, yes, another comment is saying, yeah, it's not possible. In Kenya, you can marry, I think, up to the maximum could be four, and it could be for the Muslims. In And I think also goes for, I don't know how they, because they opened the law that you could actually marry more than one wife in Kenya, and maybe through customary law marriages. So you marry them through the customary way, but not on documentation. Documentation will be one wife will be put there, but others will be uncustomary, and they are recognized as wives. So you say, Kele, most of the passport brothers come, they are not coming for travel, sightseeing, engaging, and knowing cultures and socializing with the local people, touring the beautiful sites of the countries. Yes, that's what we have been noticing, Prayer One. We have been noticing that. Uh, so I think I'd answered anonymous. Why are women and men don't want to be filmed? I answered. It's just been a culture nowadays that people have just been protective of their spaces. You see, like how Americans just believe that they should have personal space. Now with the Kenyans, they recording them, that is invading their personal space. Yeah. Any other question? Yes, it might happen, but not legally. Yeah. With through Kenyan Marriages Act is that one woman will be on registry. The others, if they are to be married, they'll be married through customary law. They'll get married into customary law. Yeah, only one. Yes, yes, yes. You already said. So customary is a gray area. No, now it's not. It's you are marrying through customary. They are recognized as wives, but on customary end. Like because legally it's like on paper it will be one, but the others who could be married on customary law. Right, my guy. Right. My guy might be married and have a girlfriend elsewhere. Like who really cares? No, no, no. Now with the marrying, it's not about girlfriend or anything. It's like you will have your woman you marry, but also the second woman you marry. It's like official marriage, but it is not going to be on documentation. You could do it through the customary law, and that's how it's been agreed. So because it's the law says that the traditional ways are just being accepted now because of cultural practices. So because before it was the only people who could marry more than one wife are the Muslims. They could marry more than three wives. Let's say four. They could marry to the maximum of four wives. So other communities also say yes. We also need to marry because our customer allow us to marry this amount of women. So they were actually said that we cannot break the law. It will remain the same, but we just say you can marry them through customary. Yes, and that is what was changed. So with the passport brothers, if you're coming to Africa or if you're coming to Kenya, please tone down on the sex tourism. Find one woman if you want to marry a woman from the African descent or a Kenyan. This sex tourism is not benefiting anybody. It's actually creating diseases. It's actually creating women to be more independent. You are bringing the independence that you are running away from in America, and you are bringing it to grow in Africa. And it's actually making women not to be responsible, because if you're coming in, you're giving your part and going, another person comes and do your part, because that's what I've been seeing on the internet. Yeah, it seems like a reputation from one person to another is something normal. In Africa, that's not even normal. That's not even normal, unless you're doing prostitution, but it's not normal at all, at all, at all. It has never been normal, and I don't think it will ever be normal. So if you're coming into Kenya, we just urge you to be careful. Prostitution is also not legal in Kenya. So if you are continuing with that aspect, I don't think you're actually in the legal way. They should actually revoke your visa, and you should leave for the country, because I believe we are eroding the society, the morality of the culture of that society. Yeah, and basically, also it might be in Kenya that could be acceptable in Nairobi, maybe because of the cultures that of the section of the Nairobi you are in, maybe they have accepted that, but Kenya has a very wide cultural beliefs. For the beliefs, the African native beliefs are like about 42, and all of them are distinctive. How they handle their marriages, their ceremonies, how they do their dowries, is quite different from each of the communities, and these are basically from one country. So I believe they should, yeah, they should land in jail. For anybody who's practicing this, the law says it very clear. Prostitution is not permitted in Kenya, even through licenses. Even yes, you will go and see brothels and everything, people doing it, but all that, if they are got arrested, they can be easily prosecuted at the courts. So I believe that this sex tourism should stop, and also, as it should stop, if you are coming for sex tourism, then let us know that you're coming for sex tourism, instead of calling yourself as a passport brother. And then when we perceive you as a sex tourism, will identify the whole group as a passport brother to be a sex parts. And that's what has been happening in Kenya for a long time. And that's why we have been trying to explain to the Americans that if you are a passport brother, yes, we understand what it could be, but it could also mean something else here. Stop using this name. We are in our right minds to tell you stop using this name, because the moment you mention that name, everything that you'll have made easily or sign agreements with, it ends there, because of that's one word, only one word. So if you're coming to Kenya, please stop tourism, sex tourism. Please, 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 please. Can a woman in Kenya be arrested for selling herself to a passport bro? Yes. And I think that is why the girl who was assaulted at Jerelo's house or apartment at that particular night has not maybe been surfaced, because she could easily be arrested for that, because the video says that she's actually wanted to be paid 10,000, and you could hear Gerello said, "I already paid," and she said that is for the agency. I want now mine. So that could actually easily put her in big legal cases. So somebody could be arrested in Kenya for selling themselves out in Kenya. It's not legal. It's not a legal business. Yeah. Since there's no other comment, I think we could end it today there. Um, we will try and get another video done maybe in the course of tomorrow, and I'll post it. Either I'll do a video or we'll do a live like now. I will see. If you want us to do a video, we'll just do a video, no problem. But all the passport bro, please, as you come into Kenya, be careful. Identify that we do not agree with the passport bring identity. If you are coming, come as a visitor, do your business, and leave the country in a very polite way. Do not try and alter the culture. This bigotry of coming to say if it was in America, this would have not been allowed, this will not have been done. That is not what we want in Africa. We want people who come with the resilience and humility and kindness. That is what we need. Until today, we will just end today for today, and then we will meet in another video. So for now, let's end it. Yes.